Come on in. Come on in. So great to see everybody. I hope you all are doing well. I hope you guys are having a great day. Welcome to Money in the Morning, our financial consciousness training that we do every single day in the Black Business School. It is so good to see all of you, and I hope you all are doing great. I hope you're feeling blessed today. I'm feeling blessed. It's a beautiful day, and I got up this morning. I didn't go to the gym this morning, so I got caught slipping. So I got to make up for that today. But you know what? It's okay though. Sometimes you got to give yourself some grace, and I give myself grace all the time. And I will tell you that it's always a journey. You know, every day you hit the reset button and you try to make sure you show up as the best version of yourself, whatever that looks like. Hello, Kevin from Echo Keek, Maryland. Good to see you. Edward Samuels, Travis Gibson, Denise Bryant from Atlanta. B1 to you too. El Haj, good morning, Calvin and Sharon, Rosa, Carol Heath, Joan Wokpara, good to see you. Patricia out of Newark, New Jersey, good to see you. Gwen out of Anchorage, Alaska. I went to Anchorage 2 years ago. Very cold out there. It's Alaska, so what do you expect, right? All right, so how's everybody doing today? How are you feeling? I hope you're feeling good. Last night we had our Powernomics training, which which was really awesome. And the thing was that we got an opportunity to really explore some really important questions for the community, particularly around the idea of forming a black political party. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to lead that charge. That's not something I want to do. I'm not really into politics like that. But I can give my perspective, and I will support things that I believe in. And I will tell you this: I think that at the end of the day, what does happen is that I don't have an interest in spending a lot of time working on things that I don't think are actually going to work. Right? If you give me something that appears to be a solution, it really has to be a solution. If it doesn't feel like a real solution, what happens is that my enthusiasm tends to sort of taper off. My brother picked up on that with me. Actually, he's been my business partner for a long time, and one thing he said is that he said, when I propose an idea to you, I have to make sure I get your buy-in. I have to make sure that you believe in the idea. If you believe in the idea, I know you'll put your heart and soul into it. But if you don't believe in it, if you think it's a bunch of BS or a waste of time, then you're not really going to do your absolute 100% best. And I said, that's absolutely true. My tolerance for silly ideas or things that don't work, just is very, very low. That's one of the reasons why in my personal life, try to focus my time on the things that are important. Like I don't answer the phone that much because most people that call me, they're just asking me for stuff or want to just talk about whatever. So I talk to family and friends and stuff like that. But a lot of stuff I don't even I turn my ringer off. I don't really check email because email's full of a bunch of crap that's going to waste your time. When I took my job at Syracuse University, I was very time conscious to the point where part of the appeal of living in Syracuse was that I would have a 13-minute commute to the office because I started thinking about how many thousands of hours human beings waste in traffic. Just how much time you spend in traffic. I knew a guy who used to commute an hour to work and an hour from work. And I remember thinking that's a lot of time to just throw down the drain. I mean, that's 2 hours a day. If you do that, say, I don't know, 250 hours, days a year, you're talking about 500 hours a year over the course of a decade. That's 5,000 hours over, I don't know, 5 decades. That's 25,000 hours of life that you wasted. And I would encourage you to not waste those little, pockets of time. Not waste. Definitely don't waste your money, and don't waste the things that matter to you. So when it comes to politics, I'm a little bit of a skeptic in the sense that I don't really see where all this voting and everything has really gotten us to where we want to get to. But I look at communities that are succeeding despite whatever level of political participation that they have, right? I believe black people can be powerful without politics. I do. I'm not saying that you should ignore it. I'm not saying don't vote. I'm not saying any of that. I've never said that. But what I will say is that if you look at communities that have economic power, they can really get things done. So, for example, let me give you an example. Right now, there's this war happening over across the sea. Y'all know about it. It's not even really a war. It's really one side bombing the hell out of the other side, and it bothers me a lot. I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, with this war, just the other day, I saw where all these politicians that normally don't get along on anything, they don't agree on anything, but for whatever reason, they were unanimous in this decision to send $100 billion to to the Israelis to for this so-called war. And I remember thinking to myself, well, they spent 100 billion. It was split between the Israeli stuff in Ukraine and the defense of Taiwan, right? And I remember thinking to myself, wow, how in the heck did they get $100 billion and black people can't even get a nickel for reparations? Like, how did these people that don't even have that many votes, right? Think about it. They don't, that group, the Jewish community, their percentage of the population is very small. So I remember thinking, how did a group that does not have nearly as many votes as us. We got 6 times more votes than they do. How did they get 100 billion and we can't? How many? Give me a yes or no. How many of y'all think that if I showed up and said we need 100 billion for the black community, how many of y'all think that they would give us that money? What do you think? You think that they would write that check? You think they would be like, oh well, black people have been the most loyal group of people in America. Black people have never let us down. Black people have saved us on numerous occasions. Black people always come through for us. Black people have been defending us since slavery. Black people have been fighting for us even when we didn't fight for them. Black people have given us all their money. They've given us trillions of dollars in their wealth. So we're going to write that check. And in fact, we're going to add a little bonus on there because we love y'all so much. Black Lives Matter. How many of y'all think that that is what would happen? We know it wouldn't happen. So the way my little brain works is I sit here and I say, how did they get all the money? We don't get none of it. How they get $100 billion check? They ain't voting for nothing. They can't. They don't even have the numbers. Well, you know what it is? It's economic power. It's economic power. That's that money talking. And then also, there's the militaristic aspect, right? That the U.S. funds things that support their interests. So I believe they have military and economic interests in Taiwan, and they have economic and military interests in Ukraine. They have military and economic interests in Israel, which gives them that little tiny stronghold in the Middle East, right? So it's like a kind of a combination of the two, right? The economics and the military stuff kind of goes together. Where the United States is this country that has lots of economic power, and they use that to fund military power, which then allows them to go around like a big bully, like Debo. They're kind of the Debo of the world. Debo walks up and you say, "I got $5," and Debo says, "No, I got $5," and they beat up the country and they take their stuff. Right? That's kind of what the United States does. They run around the world and kind of beat people up and take their money, take their lunch money. Right? That's why Debo's got a pocket full of money and nobody else does. Debo and Big Worm. Anybody remember Big Worm in Friday? Debo and Big Worm had all the money because they had this military power that allowed them to oppress and to bully other people in the neighborhood. If you don't know these references, you got to go see the movie Friday because it's really hilarious. It's still hilarious 30 years later. So the United States, in their effort to kind of debo the world, has pretty much used two major things. They've used the military, which is funded by the power of capitalism. That it's money. It's all about the money. So what I'm not saying that we should become depot. I don't believe in being bullies. I don't want to be big worm. I don't want to have a big perm going through the hood, trying to pick up my dope money. But what I do believe is that black people have an opportunity. Black families, individually and then collectively, have an opportunity, in my view, by us being canaries in the mine and really accelerating our economic intelligence above and beyond everyone else. We have the ability to establish an economic stronghold, right? And an economic stronghold does not have to be something where we're going around and we're bullying other people. I don't believe in that. I don't think that that's spiritually correct or accurate. I don't want to live that way. But we do have the ability to say we're holding it down. You know, in our little space, right? This is where we're at. We understand what's going on. We have information. We have knowledge and understanding of economics that's very powerful. We have commitment and unity within our families and to each other that is really impenetrable. We have enough self-esteem collectively and individually to the point where we don't feel inferior to anybody. So we're not gonna go give you our lunch money just so that you'll be our friend, right? That's what a kid with low self esteem does. He doesn't have any friends. So the bully comes along and says, "Give me your lunch money. You can sit with me." money, and you give him your lunch money because you want to sit with him and you don't want to get beat up. That's kind of what black people do. We give away our lunch money so that we can sit with the bully because we feel better about ourselves, and then we don't want, and then we know that if we withhold our lunch money, the bully's going to beat us up. So what I would say overall is that that money, economics, economic consciousness, and the high level of economic consciousness that you're pursuing is going to work to the benefit of your family because you can develop a stronghold. You can get to the point where I mentioned to you guys this to you guys last night that literally what I'm very proud of as a black man is that nothing in my house is for sale. No, nothing's for sale. Our time is not for sale. Our bodies are not for sale. My wife is not for sale. I am not for sale. Our kids are not for sale. And what does that mean? Well, that means that we have that ability we've developed enough of a stronghold that we can satisfy our own needs without leaving the house to go and get those needs fulfilled. I don't have to leave. I can sit. My office is right in the basement, right next to my wife. We have almost like a little academic department. It's just like it was in Syracuse, where you be in your office, your colleague will be in the other office next door, and that's kind of what we have. We kind of run it like an academic department. Even the books. If you order my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, we will ship it right out of our house. DrBoyceBooks.com if you want to get a copy. DrBoyceBooks.com. So anyway, and we don't just hire our kids. Our kids are good. They have they have plenty of money when they if they as long as they do the work, we can make sure that they get paid. And then not only do we hire our kids, we hire our kids' friends. If the kids are well behaved and smart, they can come and work for us. I've hired several of our children's friends and mentored them, and it's a wonderful experience. And it's like a little community, right? It ain't a multi-billion-dollar empire, but it's a little pocket of economic and spiritual love that we're able to share with young people to give them a safe space where they can get what they need and also be fed financially as well as spiritually and intellectually, right? They're not going to sit down with me and have a stupid conversation. I'm not going to tell them to go smoke as much weed as possible and then go drink liquor and then go and have sex with everybody that moves and then go and kill another black person. I'm not going to give them bad advice. I'm going to give them advice on things that are going to make them happy. Like I sat there this morning, our daughter's friend pulled up to pick her up for school, and the little girl was driving a BMW. Right, they were in this little BMW. I thought it was a mama, and I said, "What the hell are you doing driving a BMW?" I said, when I was your age, I drove a complete hoopty. I said, but I'm old, and you probably don't even know what a hoopty is. But I said, just imagine the ugliest car that you can think of, and then divide it by two. If you imagine the ugliest car in the neighborhood divided by two, that's what I was rolling into school. I don't know anybody else drive a hoopty to school, right? So, but I was happy. I was proud to have that hoopty. That was better than what I had before. And I just started talking to him about the next move and college and everything else, and it's like a pride. It's like a masculine pride of like I'm kind of like one of the neighborhood dads. I'm looking out for you, and so I start giving them unsolicited advice. Right? They're kind of looking at their phones. I think they wanted to text their friends. Kids have their face on their phone, but I didn't care. I kept talking to them, and I really just sort of I was sort of speaking to them about basic stuff. Like I said, when you go to college, you got to work hard to be successful, and I want you to be happy. I said you're going to remember these days for the rest of your life. You're never going to forget these days, and so always seek happiness. Don't let anything make you unhappy. I think that's the biggest piece of advice I would give you. The grades and the money and the career and all that's important too, but just find your happiness. Don't waste time being a young unhappy person, right? Find your bliss. Right. So this is the kind of stuff that you get to do, and it feels good because I'm able to do this at 10:30 a.m. on a work day. Right. I'm not at the factory. Right. Where I got to go and do what my boss is telling me to do. It's like, no, I'm this independent black man who's coming outside to the driveway to greet you and to hopefully give you something positive that you can carry with you through your life. Why is that? Well, because you're a black child, which makes you my responsibility. I may not be your dad. In general, I may never be your dad again. But for the next like 3 minutes, I'm going to be your father because as a black man, it is my responsibility to be one of the fathers in the community to make sure this little black girl is okay. Right. So in spaces like this is what I want you to understand and how the economics links to this. It's much harder to do that when you're struggling whether it's financially, psychologically, or otherwise, right? I had to secure myself before I can secure other people. And I'm not just talking about securing myself financially. Sure, that's important. But I also had to secure myself emotionally. I had to do the work in terms of my own therapy and healing to make sure that I don't come out as some sort of toxic figure, because a lot of us had those toxic men in our lives that that would come and give us stupid advice, or would be so caught up in their own toxic nonsense that they put themselves into, or some stupid situation they were in, that they didn't have the ability to really give any good advice to kids. You can't spread love to the children because you don't even love yourself. Your life is such a mess that you can't create stability for other people. And I really believe these are skills that have to be developed and nurtured. This comes from consciousness. This comes from a certain level of consciousness. Because if the kids are, because kids are young and dumb, they just are. Their brains aren't even fully developed. Let's just be honest, right? Kids are kind of young, they're dumb relative to what they're going to be in the future, right? You're 17, your brain's all over the place, hormones, all right. So you're here, you're literally on the animal frequency, right? That's what you are when you're 17. You're a little horny sob, and you're just kind of all over the place, and what's happening at school is the most important thing in the world. So it's really important that the parent comes in in a helicopter, because some parents don't arrive in a helicopter. Some parents, they come out of the ground. They come out like an earthworm. They operating on the same frequency as the teenager. If you know what I'm talking about. Like, they just look at at Instagram and see how many older people you see who are just still all over the place, never healed, never grew, never evolved, never got anything secure. So how can you create stability and security for other people when you can't create that for yourself? So this is, in my view, why when we talk about financial consciousness training, like, consciousness is just sort of this elevation where I can come in and say, you know what, I've kind of worked through a big chunk of my issues, because that's what a grown man is supposed to do. I've worked through my financial issues. I don't feel financially insecure. I'm not emotionally insecure. My self-esteem is intact. I'm very confident. So I'm going to come in and make this all about you. Tell me if you're following what I'm saying. I know sometimes I kind of go in different directions. I don't know which direction God's going to send me, but I go in directions that I hope are beneficial. So when I come in and I'm talking to them, it's like, no, I'm not going to come in here and talk to you about all the problems I'm having as a black man. I'm not talking to you about how hard it is for me and woe is me and I can't figure out my life and everything's all over the place, or I'm half drunk, half high, whatever, because I'm coping with all the pain and the stress that comes with being a black man. I'm not dealing with none of it. No, I've worked through all this. So I'm coming in and I'm gonna make it all about you. And because I can make it about you and I'm vibrating on this frequency, I can create like this emotional tent around you that is going to help you feel safe. I'm here to protect you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to tell me about your feelings. Tell me how you're where you're at, so we can figure out how you can get to the next level. And I believe that part of the reason that so many of our children get screwed, and remember, our kids get screwed up, and it costs us trillions of dollars in wealth because you have these misguided children that had great potential, but we ruined it. I think a lot of kids end up screwed up because their parents have not worked through their own issues. Like, their parents can't even get along with each other, and they fighting in the street, throwing. I heard about this little girl, poor thing. Her parents were mad at her, and her mama got mad at the daddy and put all the daddy stuff out in the street. And I remember just thinking, this is so insane to me that this little girl has to deal with all the complexities that come with being a teenager, and the fact that her daddy's stuff is out in the street, and it's embarrassing for her, right? Like, these little things cause kids to want to kill themselves, So I just personally think, ultimately, it's important for us. We have an obligation to grow. And this really feeds into my consistent frustration with some of what I see in hip hop in terms of the promotion of the immature black male as a so-called leader of the black community. This is the price that our children pay is huge. I think the price that women pay and families pay is huge, because to really properly operate, and to really harness the power and opportunity that comes with being the head of a household, is something that you should be trained for. Think about it. You went to that damn factory and you spent 6 months learning how to operate that crane that you operate, or to run that machine. Or if you're doing accounting, you spent years in school learning how to manage the books for a corporation. But you didn't spend any time learning how to properly pursue the sacred task of running a family. Why didn't you? Why didn't you spend time getting trained on that? That's probably the most important job you'll ever have. It's the most sacred job you'll ever have. You're literally shaping future generations. Do you understand how much power a man has when he's the head of a household? You have the power to create heaven or hell for the people around you. And one of the things that I really don't get is that why we don't really talk about this more. And the only conclusion I can come to is that we're just not committed enough to our collective consciousness. We're just not. We're not. These are things that come from consciousness. It comes from sitting around saying, "Gosh, man, imagine if I was like some alcoholic drug addict who, like, abused children or something. Like everybody's vulnerable around me. I could do terrible things to the people around me if I wanted to, but consciousness makes you say, whoa, this is an important responsibility. Or even when I'm driving in a car, like if I'm in a car and I got my wife over here, the three kids in the back, grandma in the back, Uncle Francis over here, and cousin Max in the back. We got a big gigantic truck, and all these people in the car, and I'm thinking, what if I was a terrible driver? Or what if I drank when I drove or something? Or what if I just wasn't a safe driver? Everybody could die. I have everybody's lives in my hands, and they're sitting in the back on their phones, sleeping, whatever. But no, I don't think people really process that. So what I'm saying to you is that I want you to really see the power that you have in your own life, and I want to spin this into economics a little bit and actually pull up a slide on something that will let you know the massive power and opportunity you have to really, really turn the ship of your family in a direction that you want it to go. Not in the direction the white man wants it to go, not in the direction that little Pookie down the street wants it to go. Not you have an opportunity right now because are alive right now to really move the ship in a direction that is going to affect an endless number of people that you can't even imagine. And it's called the Black Wealth Rectangle. And I'm going to introduce you to this concept in a second. It's in my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. I'm going to pull up this slide. Now, before I forget, I want to mention a couple of things happening right now, if you will allow me to. I'm going to support JRTs. JRTs is a hip hop artist out in a fashion guy out of Philadelphia. He runs something called Art from the Heart, which is really popular as well. And he's having something called the Get Money Fest with another young lady named she goes by the name of the Pish Posh Girl, and apparently she's big in fashion in Philadelphia. And I look forward to seeing what they're doing. So they wanted to add a financial literacy component to their event, which is on the 18th. There's the link if you live in Philly or you want to fly in. You can actually come for free. So feel free to join us at this event. Here's the link. I'm gonna put the link in here, and if you don't see the link, just text the word money to 87948, and I can text out the link as well that way. And then also another thing that I wanted to share with you guys really quickly is I don't know if you guys know, we have a new apparel line in the Dr. Boyce bookstore. So if you want to take a look at some of our Black Wealth apparel, we've got lots of cool, t-shirts and stuff that relate to Black wealth and sort of showing your love for not just your community, but for your future and your family. Feel free to go take a look at that. And there's other stuff there. There's flashcards, there's workbooks. Dr. Claude Anderson's book, Powernomics, is there. So feel free to go to drboycebooks.com to take a look at that. All right. And make sure you're on the text list, the Morning in the Morning text list to get access to the financial consciousness training. Text the word morning to 87948, MORNING, morning to 87948. All right. So let me share this slide with you. This has to do with something this is a concept you're not going to see in any textbook anywhere, and this has to do with something called the Black Wealth Triangle. And so it goes to the ninth commandment in the book, the Ten Commandments of Black Economic Power. The ninth commandment is always leave a worthy inheritance. Always leave a worthy inheritance. So that means that literally any black person in here that loves your family, you got to make sure you have your life insurance. You got to make sure you're leaving something for the next generation because wealth is supposed to be an accumulation process. It's supposed to be a team sport. It's something that's supposed to happen across multiple generations. If you start off with nothing, that means something went wrong. If you start off with nothing, that means something went wrong. If your children start off with nothing, that means something went wrong. If you process this, you think about this. You've had, all this time, multiple generations to build some kind of assets, acquire something. And if someone comes into the world and there's nothing waiting for them, something went wrong. Something didn't happen the way it was supposed to. So this concept links to the ninth commandment in my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, that says basically you should always leave a worthy inheritance. Leaving an inheritance is evidence that you existed. It's evidence that you were here. It's like I come home late. and my wife was here all day, and she's got to work the night shift, but she says, "Hey, honey, dinner's in the oven for you, right? There's something I left something behind for you to make sure that you're going to be okay because I love you." So really, this is what all of us need to embrace, just as a core value of what it means to be black. Being black means leaving an inheritance. It being sloppy means leaving nothing. It means I don't care about you. It means my consciousness was so low that all I could think about was myself. I care about nothing other than me, and that's why I'm leaving you out here in the struggle, in the middle of a society that treats poor people like crap, in a society that treats black people like crap, in a society where resources are scarce. I want you out here struggling so that you are out here hoeing for a dollar. I want you in a situation where you got to sell yourself into slavery just so you can eat. That's how I feel about you as your parent or your grandparent. I think that's not who we are. I don't think that that's what we aim for. That's not something we should ever allow or to accept. So this leads to a concept. This is on the screen. I want you to look at what you see there. It's the black wealth rectangle. The black wealth rectangle is very easy to understand, and it explains how wealth actually works. So if you think about wealth, first of all, the thing you should know about wealth is that wealth is a relay race. And if you think about it this way, this is a mathematical representation of wealth. And those who can't see it, just listen to me and you'll understand it. So think of wealth as I saw this video once where they had these giraffes, and giraffes have a mating season apparently, where once a year, all a lot of the male giraffes are going to get some, and they're all excited about mating season because that's when everybody gets together and they get to do the birds and the bees. Well, not every male giraffe is going to get the same amount of female attention, just like in the real world, right? Just like how the tall, handsome, smart guy is going to get more attention than the short, dumpy, broke man at Burger King, right? Well, the same thing is true with giraffes. Well, so how do the female giraffes discern and determine which male giraffe they're interested in? Well, one variable that they look at is how much territory does this giraffe control? How wide is your space? If you got a little tiny if you can only hold down a little tiny spot right here, then that's not going to get as much. That's not going to be as appealing as the giraffe who really has a whole lot of space. And animals are not politically correct at all. They don't get it. They're not into the marriage and monogamy and everything. They like multiple females will come see the same dude if he has enough territory. And so there was this guy. He was kind of the OG giraffe. He'd been the man for a long time. He was a big, strong giraffe, and he had all this territory. So every year, these two female giraffes would come to him for mating season, and so he's like sitting there, and he's happy. He's all perky because he's about to it's about to go down. So he's looking over the trees to see, okay, when the lady's gonna get here. I done made the bed and I got the flowers out and the music is on and so he's looking for them, right? And so he looks through the trees and he sees far in the distance he sees the two women that are coming to see him. And so he's all happy. He's like, "Yeah, that's what's up," right? And then though he looks further and he sees that there's another guy. There's like this other dude, and he's like, "Well, who is he? He's not supposed to be here. I don't swing both ways. Like, what's going on here?" Right? So this other guy is the younger giraffe that's coming to challenge him to say, "Hey, your era is over, partner. It's you're not Debo anymore. You're not Big Worm no more. I'm the man now, and I've come to claim that which is mine. I'm going to take your women and your territory." Right? It's like just out of a 1970s black exploitation movie like Shaft. Your blank chose me. Right? So this is what's about to happen. So here's the thing. This is interesting, right? So the animals and the women didn't care. The women are like, well, we're just gonna see who wins the fight. Like that's literally how they were sort of operating. It wasn't like they were loyal to the guy. They weren't loyal to nobody. They were just like, well, whichever one of y'all is y'all fight it out. Whichever one wins, that's who we're gonna hang out with for mating season. So the two males they get together and they clash and they start fighting. If you ever want to see something really interesting, go watch a giraffe fight. It is the craziest thing. They fight with their necks. They just hit each other with their necks. And I'm watching. And now, mind you, I'm probably over 40 by the time I'm watching this. I'm cheering for the old dude, right? I want to see the OG win, not this young guy, right? So I'm watching this fight, and the young dude is just kicking his butt. He's more energetic, he's stronger, and I'm like, man, this is sad. This is like watching Michael Jordan in the last couple years when he played for the Washington Wizards and his knee wouldn't work right, and and you're hoping the old Michael Jordan will come out, but it didn't happen like that. The young dude's just beating him up and kicking his butt. But then at the end, let me tell you how the story ends, and I promise I'm gonna get back to the point. But this is just a great story. So the young dude just finally he just lays a blow on the old guy and just takes him out, just boom, and he goes there. And the women are just watching. Again, they're just literally watching, like waiting, like okay, who's gonna win? Whoever wins, we're gonna go with that guy. Survival of the fittest. So the crazy part of it though that I thought was really amazing was the old guy tricked the young guy. He made him think that he had killed him. So the old guy lays out on the ground and he drops and then the young dude's like, yeah, I took him out. Come on, ladies, come with me, right? So he's all cocky and everything else. And then the out of the blue, out of nowhere, the old dude gets up and just whoa swings his neck and takes the young dude out and like takes it. And I said, that's what I'm talking about. He was smart. He fought smart, right? You gotta work smart, not hard, right? So he used his OG wisdom, intelligence, and experience to beat the young guy, right? And I said, that's it. I like that. That's how I play basketball. Like when I got older, you couldn't jump as high or run as fast, but you just know stuff, right? So you're like, okay, yeah, you run and jump, but I know things you'll never know, right? So anyway, that's why you got to listen to older people. Like I don't know why people don't do that. We know some stuff. So the way this, if you want to know how the story ended, the old guy kept his territory, and the ladies continued their tradition of coming to see him during mating season. The young guy just kind of limped off. Or I don't think he killed him, but he was hurt pretty bad. So anyway, so here's what I'm getting at though. Basically, even with giraffes, wealth is measured, wealth, which is a defining characteristic of what can make a male attractive, among other things, of course, right? And we always talk about this, we always say, well, she's a gold digger because she likes men that have money. Well, actually, if you look throughout the animal kingdom, most females have an attraction to males that have something that reflects economic or some form of economic achievement, right? It's how much territory he has, how much food he can bring. This is not unique to humans, and this does not make a woman a gold digger. This actually makes her human and normal. And so again, I'm not. You can do what you want with that information, but this is my conclusion. So the giraffes sort of measure their wealth by territory. A lot of other animals do that too. So the wealth rectangle is similar to that because if you think about how humans decide like who's the rich guy or who's the rich person versus the poor person, well, one measure of that is territory. One measure of that is how much do you own and control. How much are you responsible for? Like, what are you able to hold down and defend to keep others from taking it? Because remember, this old giraffe, he had to defend his territory. And I bet you that wasn't the first time he was challenged. Well, why is that? Well, because generally in life, when you have something other people want, people are gonna come and try to take it. Like I think I heard a comedian say something like, if you have five haters, you want to try to get 10 by the summer, right? So haters and challengers and all that, that's just part of the territory, and that's Mother Nature's way of forcing you to prove and defend what it is that you've acquired to prove that you're worthy of that which you have, right? So the wealth rectangle is something that personifies this, right? So let me put it back on the screen. So the wealth rectangle, the way I defined it in my book, it's the 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. You can get a copy at drboycebooks.com. Is basically a measure of how much economic power you have, which is where the length of the rectangle is defined by the number of years that you've spent accumulating the power, and also the number, and then the width is defined by the number of teammates you have that are helping you to accumulate your power. So what this really says is that all else equal, a person who's been accumulating wealth in all of its forms for a longer period of time is on average going to have more wealth than someone who's only been doing it for a short period of time. Also, it says that the person who has a lot of people helping them, who's operating with wealth as a team sport, is going to have more wealth than someone who is operating solo. So, what I want you to really think about is the Black experience. So, the Black experience is one where we are losing in both time and teammates. So here on the left, you can see the results of a wealth triangle when you have lots of people working together across several generations. So if me, the grandmother, and the great grandfather and the great great grandfather were all on the same page, and we made sure that the wealth that we accumulated was protected and passed to the next generation, and then on top of that, we got the whole family involved. All 12 of us are working together in an ecosystem to build wealth that benefits the family. We're going to have a pretty damn big wealth triangle. We're going to be just like that giraffe that has lots of territory, and we're going to be identified as a wealthy person. The wealth triangle that you often see in the Black community, or really even in the white community sometimes as well, with this rugged individualism that we have in America, looks more like the one on the right, which is basically a flat little straight line. It's pretty much one dimensional in scope. And what does that personify? Well, instead of having multiple people working together, which gives you width on your rectangle, there is no width in a straight line. It's one person doing it all by themselves. So when you fall into the culture of, I don't need no man, that's what you end up doing. If you fall into the culture of I don't need black women, screw black women, then you're doing it, you're looking like that line. When you say, oh, these children, I ain't got time for these kids, and you're not investing in your children to get them to help you out, then you're pretty much operating as a straight line. This little straight line here. Your wealth rectangle will not typically grow because you're doing it all by yourself. And then on top of that, not only are you losing in terms of width in the number of teammates you have, because you don't have any healthy relationships, because somebody told you that talking about relationships was for simps or sissies or whatever people think. Like, nobody really talks about relationship management. They think it's all fluffy stuff. No, having good relationships means you have teammates. It means you have people that you can work with, that you can turn to, that can help you get things done. Dr. George C. Frazier says it all the time. He says all black people need is each other. But then on top of not having adequate relationships that build the wealth, you don't even have a lot of time that you can put into it. Why is that limited? Well, because you started building wealth when you were 35, and then you start getting tired when you're 55 or 60. So you're trying to do in 20 years by yourself what other families have done over 100 years with 40 or 50 teammates. How in the hell can one person working solo for 20 years accomplish the same as a group of 40 or 50 people who've been working collectively on code since 1902? You can't compete. You can't compete. You cannot compete. So why? Well, because you don't understand the basic idea of the wealth rectangle. Wealth is a team sport that involves an accumulation of assets over a long period of time. Mathematically speaking, I can show you equations for wealth. This is what we do as professors. All we do are equations. I'm a mathematician. I can show you equations for wealth that will show you in a very clear and specific way that the more time you have to allow wealth to grow, the more wealth you're going to have. And it's not just sort of a casual growth, it's exponential. It possesses what we call in mathematics convexity. It has momentum. When they say the rich get richer, or when you have money it's easy to make money, that is 100% true. To visually see it, imagine what happens when I push a heavy car down a hill. If I get that car over the hill to a certain point, that car is going to fly down the hill because now it's got gravity at its back. You can't even stop the car now. So when you get to the point where you've been accumulating wealth with your teammates over a long period of time, you get to the point where the exponential growth starts to kick in, and you get to the point where you can't help but to make money. Elon Musk has probably made $10 million this morning because he can't stop making money. It's impossible. So what I want you to understand is how wealth operates, and I want you to really internalize and take a look or consider anyway, this wealth triangle concept, and understand that a lot of the reason that we miss the wealth and we're not conscious of it and we can't see it is because we don't understand the dynamics that define it. We don't understand all of the non-financial dimensions of financial success. It's almost like there's like this whole shadow experience connected to wealth. All these variables that connect to money that we don't even think about because we think we're focused just on the money. But if you focus just on the money, you'll never understand the money. If you just focus on the money, you will never understand the money. And what I notice culturally speaking is I see a lot of people where they talk about money, they want money, they'll do anything for money, they'll screw over people for money, they'll work their butts off for money, and it's money, 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 get money, get money, get money. But they don't really understand the mechanics of what makes money actually appear in your life. They don't understand the spiritual and psychological aspect of money. They don't understand what money consciousness even looks like. They don't understand how relationships intersect with money, how mental and physical health intersects with money. Because mental and physical health, if they're not properly dealt with, can actually become a drain on your economics. Do you understand how much money gets taken from the black community just from the fact that our mental health is off, is not where it should be? Do you know that? Do you know that? Do you know how much money, how many trillions of dollars they've taken from you just from the fact that they know that your self esteem is not intact and that you will give them money just so you can feel better because you got Gucci and Coach and Prada on your body? Do you understand how much money gets taken because you're so stressed out about life and you haven't coped with it that you go to the club and you make it rain so you can feel good about yourself, and then you get a bottle of Henny that's where they charge you $500 a bottle where you're trying to show off for people who don't even matter because you've never been fully spiritually developed enough to know that this is stupid. And do you understand how much money gets taken just by the fact that they promote a culture that elevates stupid, unconscious, low vibrational behavior that ultimately becomes a massive wealth drain? And I could just keep going on and on and on. I could keep going, but I'm not going to continue to go because I hope that you'll get this point. So the bottom line, the simple idea here behind the wealth triangle is I want you to consciously think about the teammates that you have. And if you don't have the teammates you're looking for, get some. Get some. The best way to get good teammates is to be a good teammate. The best way to receive is to know how to give, to understand reciprocity. I had somebody ask me one time. They said why do you? There was a person that I supported, and it wasn't the best thing for me. I didn't get anything from it, and they said, what is the source of your loyalty? Like, why would you support that person when you're not getting anything for it? And I just said, well, because I believe in the rule of reciprocity. I believe that 8 times out of 10, if I give, I'm going to eventually receive. It's real basic. It's not complex. If I give, I'm going to receive. Sometimes I won't. Sometimes I won't receive. Sometimes it's not going to work out. But when I extend support or kindness towards someone without asking for anything in return, what I'm really doing is I'm acting like an investor. That's what investors do. They throw out boomerangs. They throw things into the universe that are positive, and then eventually the boomerangs start coming back. They don't all come back. It doesn't all happen. But if you are playing chess and not checkers, then you're gonna think in a different way. You're gonna say, "Well, I'm not doing anything for anybody until I'm sure that I'm gonna get something back." Or I'm not going to participate unless it's clear that I'm getting something. Like if you want me to do some work, how much am I going to get paid? Where's my paycheck at? A lot of people can't even see an opportunity unless it appears in the form of a paycheck. But if you play checkers, or excuse me, if you play chess instead of checkers, you might do something like this. When I got an opportunity to write articles for AOL Black Voices, I did not ask them to pay me a nickel. I said, I will work for you. I will work full time for you, and you don't have to pay me nothing. And they didn't understand it. They thought, why would a professor come and work for us absolutely free? Sure, we'll take your free labor, but we're screwing you. And people said, like, they're using you. And I said, no, we're using each other. I just have to prove to them that I'm worth the investment, and then it's going to all come full circle. And it did. What eventually happened was, number one, that was where I started building my brand. That was when people started finding out who Boyce Watkins was. I got a chance to show people that I know a few things that can help them. And then number two, when it got to the point where we started talking about money, we started negotiating money. It was an easy negotiation. It's like, no, I've already proven my worth to you. You guys know what I can do. You know what I can bring to the table. So just now it's time to pay the piper. Now it's time to go ahead and invest on your end. And I went ahead and took that risk. Now, again, remember though, there's many times where I've done that where it didn't work out. There's many times I've done it where I got nothing in return. I got screwed or somebody took something from me or whatever. And it happens, but that's financial consciousness. That's the mindset of an investor. To be a good investor, you're going to have to understand that sometimes you're going to throw out your best and you will get nothing back. Sometimes you're going to love, just like love, sometimes you're going to love your ass off and get your heart ripped out of your body. And to me, the spiritual question, the consciousness question, that where you can see the bigger picture comes into play in terms of whether or not you can bounce back from the setbacks and keep going and understand the bigger picture and say, okay, this didn't work out, but maybe my next great experience is just right around the corner, but I'll never find out if I don't continue to invest and continue to try. So economics is love. Love is economics. They're all connected. They're deeply connected to each other. So form those love relationships with other people where you can form that economic family and start building that wealth rectangle. If you don't have it's okay if your relatives are garbage. Fine, come to the convention. You can find your new cousins there. There are great people there. The All Black National Convention is an amazing experience for anybody that attends, and I designed it specifically so you can connect with each other and get with your people. Sometimes your people ain't the people you're related to. That's just life. That's part of being black. It sucks. It really does. But then again, my bias is that honestly, I was raised by a man who I was not biologically connected to. Half my cousins have no blood connection to me, but those are my cousins. And that's just, and so I started until my conclusion was I don't really need to be related to you for us to be relatives. I can decide. I have the power of God to decide, who my relatives are gonna be. So I tell my girls, like, no, you my daughter, period. If I say you my daughter, that's gonna happen. Man is short for manifest. I'm gonna manifest this, and I'm going to defend this, and can't nobody talk me out of this. So ultimately, I encourage you to manifest in your life whatever it is that you want your world to be. You have that power to create that world. You just got to go learn and get the tools that will give you that ability to do that. And the reality, the sad reality is that some people aren't going to understand. A lot of people aren't going to understand. The better you get at it, the more people won't get you. Maybe that's another reason I don't have a lot of friends and I don't talk to a lot of people. It's because a lot of people don't understand me. But I understand me and I love me, so that's okay with me. It probably sounds like I live on my own little planet. Well, you know what? That maybe I do. I have no idea. I know I like it here. I know it's better than where these other Negroes are living. I know that this neighborhood is better than your neighborhood over there. So I'm gonna stay over here. This is where I want to be. So find the place you want to be there, manifest what you want in your life, and know that it's possible. And I guarantee you that if you're manifesting the right relationships with the right people, you get on code, you start building that wealth rectangle, you're going to find that wealth building is very, very easy. You're going to find that the black wealth problem is not a problem at all. It is not complex at all. It is not hard to solve at all. It is actually quite solvable. And great people, great like the man behind me, Marcus Garvey, people like him solved it. And that is the reason why your child, I bet you that your child went to school for 12 years, and I bet you that your child did not learn about Marcus Garvey once from any of those white teachers at that school. I bet you that your child was never taught about men like Garvey, but were instead taught about people that had the wrong solution. I bet you that your child never learned about some of the most effective black men and black women in history. I bet your child never got taught by any white person anywhere about Dr. Claude Anderson and Powernomics. I bet you that that was your experience. I wonder why. I wonder why. I believe they have a direct incentive to keep us blind, deaf, dumb, and stupid. I really believe that. And so I would encourage you to go find the solutions that are going to work for you and build on that and have faith in those solutions. That's all I got to say. I'm done for today. If you want to get notified when we do financial consciousness training, if you're not on the text list, text the word morning to 87948. Text morning to 87948. Also, if you'd like a copy of my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, you can get a copy at drboycebooks.com. We also have financial flashcards for kids, things like that. And I mentioned the financial flashcards now because the summer's coming. And I don't know about you, but I'm actually setting up special projects with the kids that want to work with me. Not all my kids want to work with me all the time, but this summer, one of them wants to come and help me with the business. So that's actually, she doesn't know she's going to be in business school when she's working with me. And then the other one is coming home from college. So we're actually going to do some special projects together, which will give us a chance to connect and learn about things like AI and stuff like that. And so the financial flashcards might be something you may want to do with your kids this summer. So feel free to take a look at our financial flashcard bundle. We cover everything from real estate to credit to investing to starting your own business. And then also on top of that, our other children's program is at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's the digital side where your child can actually get a degree, get like basically a baby bachelor's degree that they can put on their wall. So feel free to take a look at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com or drboycebooks.com. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'll see you all tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, and I will see you then. So take care. Love you. Bye bye.